Okay, so a year ago, end of October 2024, I made the incredibly difficult yet important decision to walk away from an incredibly unhealthy and abusive relationship. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, hands down, but praise God that I did it. And this list I'm about to share are all the things that really helped me to heal during that breakup. They helped sustain me during that breakup. They helped me to heal from that unhealthy relationship and also kept me from going back to that relationship. So, without further ado, number one, turn to God. Give your life to Jesus. Devote yourself to Him. Whenever I was in this relationship, I was living a very lukewarm life and I had hit such a rock bottom. There were several rock bottoms in this relationship, but then the breakup was the ultimate rock bottom, right? And the beautiful thing about rock bottoms is that the only place to go from there is up. And I had nowhere else to go. I knew that I knew the only way I was going to get through it was literally like repenting for for my errors, the errors of my ways, right? Repenting from this relationship and just turning to God and fully devoting myself to Him. And that is definitely number one. I would not be here without without Him. Number two, pray. Pray for everything. Pray for healing, pray for joy, pray for strength, pray for relief from loneliness, pray for like help breaking soul ties, especially if you have been intimate with this person that you're breaking up from. Just pray. I don't know if I said pray for strength, but like just pray, 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 whatever it is. And this is something I've learned more recently is because, I think we think of these prayers as like these big things and like you have to just do this really lengthy prayer and all this stuff. But like sometimes it can literally just be like, Lord, help me. Lord, sustain me. Lord, give me something fun to do today. Lord, give me something, help distract me from this person, right? It can be small, it can be quick. It doesn't have to be this huge thing, although big prayers are good too, right? Number three, Christian counseling. This was so pivotal for me. So I've been working with like a Christian counselor slash life coach for several years. However, my coach, she helped me so much in this breakup. She helped me. She prayed over me. She guided me with her wisdom and her, just her wisdom and her experiences. But also she just like she prayed over me, she directed me, she helped me whenever I felt weak. Whenever I was tempted to go back, whenever days and moments that I just felt like I couldn't make it and that I wouldn't go on, she spoke so much life over me. And she truly is like an angel in my life. So if you have the means, if you're not already working with a counselor or a therapist or anything like that, and if you're really struggling, I would highly recommend finding someone, and definitely I would recommend them being Christian if at all possible. That is just going to for sure help facilitate and accelerate your healing. Number four, lean on your loved ones, right? Lean on your family, lean on your friends. um that's what friends and family are there for, right? A shoulder to cry on, someone to just talk about things with and to process and get things out. um such a huge helpful thing. Number five, process. Vent, cry, get your anger out, get your grief out, get your sadness out. Do not suppress your emotions. um this was a huge thing for me again because growing up and in whenever I was younger, I really used to not let myself cry that often, and I used to not let myself express negative emotions. I felt like I always had to be happy. I felt like I always had to be joyful. I felt like people only wanted to be around me if I was, like a super happy, bubbly person. And in general, that is my natural disposition. But I also had to realize that I had to let myself get these really intense, negative emotions out. And so there were moments where I remember this one moment so clearly. I was getting off work. I was driving home. I got into my parking space in my apartment complex, and I just felt this wave of grief come over me. And I really did not want to cry. I really didn't want to get into that zone, but I knew that I had to. And so I just sat in my car. And then for like 5 minutes, I just sobbed. I just sobbed. I just let myself get it out. And the beautiful thing was, afterwards, I felt so much better. And that was a big learning lesson for me of, grief is like a wave, and it's like almost like as quickly as it comes sometimes is when it goes. And whenever you let yourself just feel it and just get it out, it's so much better, because whenever you suppress heavy emotions like that, it not only will lead to just it coming out at a later time, right? And it will delay your healing, but also it can lead to like physical symptoms, because I'm a big believer that, heavy emotions like that can get stuck and stored in the body, and it can lead to stress, and it can lead to just other ailments and other things. So you definitely do not want to suppress your emotions in this time. Number 6, while you want to fully let everything out, you also want to stay engaged in life and find ways to stay busy. In my opinion, when you're going through a breakup, when you're going through a really difficult time like this, it is not the time to stay at home 24/7, to um, just like lock yourself away in a dark house. I know there's going to be like maybe if some days of that, or some nights of that, some moments of that, but you don't want that to become your new norm. Even if you really don't feel like it is just so important to get outside, to get sunshine, to, even if you have like nothing really to do, like run some errands, right? Like visit family more, just like find ways to stay engaged in life where you don't feel alone, and where you're not unhealthily distracting yourself, but where you are preoccupied, because you need to find ways to get your mind off of this person and off of the breakup. What's next? That's the thing. That's what I realized. You want to face your feelings, but you don't want to drown in them, because that is also not good and will not benefit you. Number 7, so important. Prioritize your health and your self care. This is so crucial, not only because prioritizing your health is important for like literally your health, right? But whenever you prioritize your health and your self care, this is also going to build confidence in you and build resilience back into you, because you're showing yourself that you're worthy of being taken care of. But also, whenever we eat right, whenever we move our bodies, whenever we get great sleep, whenever we're taking care of ourselves holistically, we're going to feel better. And then whenever you feel good, you typically look good. And it's just this like cyclical, thing. And I just think it's really important, because, again, this is not the time to be staying up, binging a ton of shows, not getting sleep, just eating a ton of junk food, not moving your body, because you're going to just not feel good. You're just not going to feel good. And it's only going to make you feel worse about your current situation. So I would definitely up the health, up the self-care routines. Also too, because typically whenever you've been in an unhealthy or abusive relationship, you've most likely stopped taking care of yourself in certain ways. And so you need to build that back up within yourself, and that it's such a crucial part of healing. Number 8, honestly reflect where you went wrong and what needs to change going forward. So, again, whenever you've been in an unhealthy or abusive relationship, you have turned away from your self worth. You have turned away from your standards. You've turned away from your boundaries. and you are just not feeling good about yourself. So it's so important to honestly reflect where you, as a person, right? Where was it that you lowered your standards? Where was it that you ignored the red flags? Where was it that you allowed a boundary to be crossed and then to be crossed again and again and again? Where was it that you said yes whenever you should have said no, etc.? You need to look at that. You need to look at the root of that, of why that is. This goes hand in hand with counseling, because if you don't, then you're way more likely to repeat that same cycle going forward in another relationship or getting back with this person, right? Stuff that we don't want to do. And the only way that we can change is whenever we realize what needs to change. So, this self reflection process is crucial, and it's not about blaming ourselves. It's not about getting into shame and all that jazz, but it is about just some honest self reflection and self awareness. Number 9, make a list of the facts of what went down in the relationship, slash red flags, slash obvious signs that they are not from the Lord. So I did this without even realizing that I was doing this one night. I just opened up my notes app on my phone and I made a list of like all these things that had happened in the relationship that I knew just objectively were not good, right? A list of red flags that I had ignored, a list of these moments where the Lord had spoken to me and told me clearly, He is not for you. I did not send him. He is not from me. But I had ignored him. I had ignored God because I wanted so badly to be in this relationship. And whenever you make a list, this list, the point of it is not to harbor anger and resentment towards this person, because a later step is forgiveness, and that's essential, right? But it's really to just have this concrete, objective, factual list of these negative things that happened. Again, red flags, ways that you looked the other way whenever you shouldn't have, because it's going to be so important for you in those moments whenever you miss that person, whenever you want to text them, whenever you want to call them, whenever you want to unblock them, whenever they found a way to reach out to you and to contact you, even though they're blocked, right? And it was so important for me because there were moments when I was at home alone, crying, missing my ex, wanted so badly to reach out to him, or I wanted to unblock him to see if he had reached out to me, whatever, right? And I would look at this list and it would help ground me back into reality, and it would help remind me of, oh no, this is why I'm in this situation right now, is because of these things that happened. This is why I decided to leave this relationship, because of X, Y, and Z that went down, or because of, all that stuff. So, very important to do so. Number 10, find accountability for whenever you are tempted to contact them. Very important. So, for me, it was a few of my really close friends, it was my counselor, and then probably my mom. And basically, moments that I was really, really, really missing him, or whenever he had breached the no contact thing, right? Or had found ways to contact me even though his regular number was blocked. And I wanted really badly to respond to him or to call him back or to whatever. I would reach out to all of these people, one of these people that I mentioned, and I would be honest with them, and I would be honest and I would say, "Hey, he reached out to me. I'm really tempted to respond. I'm really tempted to text him back. I'm really tempted to call him back." And they would immediately shut me down. They would say, "Hey, we love you so much. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. You're only going to derail yourself. You're only going to derail your healing. You've come so far, or this is only going to end how it ended last time. Like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." And it was really helpful. So I definitely recommend, even if you only have one person, if you just are honest with them and you're like, hey, I really need some help being accountable to not contact them or reciprocate contact, like, please help me. 11, forgiveness. Forgive them, forgive yourself. It's hard. It's really hard to do, but it's so important. And, God calls us to forgive. Um, and there's that whole thing, right, about forgiveness is for yourself. It's not for them. Forgiveness is like drinking poison, or what's it called? Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's so hard, especially because depending on what you've been through with this person, what was done to you, right? I don't necessarily, I think for some people, forgiveness can be like a one time, like, I forgive them, yay. But I think other times it's a deeper, lengthier thing to do. But nonetheless, it's very important. And along with forgiving that person, you have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive yourself for what you did. You have to forgive yourself for what you put up with. You have to forgive yourself for the ways that you betrayed yourself, right? You have to forgive yourself for, turning away from God, for decisions that you made, for ways that you were that is not your best self. You just have to forgive yourself. Yeah. 12, pick an end point. You have to pick an end point where you stop talking about them. You have to pick an endpoint where you decide I am moving forward, even if I still think about them, which you will, even if I have moments of missing them, which you will, even if I have all these things, I am no longer going to speak to them. And maybe that needs to be gradual. Maybe it's like, okay, I'm only going to talk about them to my therapist or to my counselor or to this one friend. But I'm not going to, every conversation that I now have is no longer going to revolve around them, is not going to revolve around what they did to me or things that I did, right? Or just like all the chaos of the relationship. You have to pick a point where you stop engaging with it. Also, you have to pick a point where you decide to no longer listen to sad music, where you no longer watch sad movies, and you have to stick to it and you have to decide to move forward. Another crucial moment and memory of mine from this breakup was there was one night I was so one of my like routines was a few nights a week I would go at night. I would go on these like really long walks and I would listen to different music. I would listen to like music that would get me like angry and help me get my anger out. I would listen to music that would make me sad and that would just like, I would just be sobbing while I was like listening to this music. And I realized I got to this point within myself where I was just like, I have to stop. Like I have to no longer listen to this. I can't I have to decide to step out of this, right? There was one night I was going on a walk. I don't think I was listening to music or anything. And I got to the beach and I was just sitting on the sand looking at the sky. And I just felt this wave of grief come over me. And I just let myself cry, let myself get it out. And I wanted to so badly listen to this like sad girl playlist that I had that I would listen to whenever I was really sad. And I'd already made the decision though that I'm not going to listen to this stuff anymore. And so I wanted to so badly listen to like this one song that would always just get me like crying so hard. And I was just like, no, like I'm not going to listen to it because I'm at a point now where it's not going to help me. It's just going to derail me because it's going to keep me stuck in this emotion. It's going to keep me stuck in this mindset. And we can't do that anymore. Um, 13, new. New wardrobe, redecorate. You're going to cultivate a new you. That probably sounds super cliche. That probably sounds super cheesy. I don't care. It works. It works. You need to just new stuff. This is an excuse to go spend some money. So another story time. I so my ex and I, we did not live together. However, he did spend the night at my apartment a lot. And one of the things I had to do was I basically just randomly decided to get a new blanket. I don't know why, but I just like I have to get a new blanket. So I donated or whatever the old comforter that I had and I went to Target and I got a brand new like blanket. I think I got some new like pillow designs, whatever, but I just had to like make my space new. So I did that. I got some like new decorations. I went and like I bought some new clothes. I just like did things because whenever you do stuff like that, it makes you feel like a new version of yourself, and it helps you to stop identifying with who you were in that relationship. There's psychology to it, there's like spiritual things to it, all the things, but it's so important. Get new jewelry, get new, like, just get some new stuff, like, do a new makeup routine. Like, that's why I I didn't cut my hair, but that is why you hear about women whenever they go through like a breakup, why a lot of times they'll cut their hair is because it makes them feel like a new person because they have like a new haircut, so they look kind of different, right? So important. Um 14, along with that, if you need to leave certain environments, do. Like, you need to. So, at the time that I was breaking up with my ex, I was also leaving the job that I was at. And that actually, even though it was such a stressful time of my life, it ended up being just so God's grace in so many ways because I ended up getting a new job, and that 1,000% helped to accelerate my healing because at the old job that I was at, that's actually where I had like met my ex-boyfriend. He knew a ton of people there, even though he no longer worked at that job. Like, he knew everybody. So there was honestly just no way. There was no way that I could have stayed there and healed because I know I would have like heard about him, or like we probably would have gotten back together, blah blah blah. I don't know. But and I know that can sound extreme where it's like, what, get a new job? But like sometimes when you get down to it, it's like you really need to do what is going to be most helpful and most beneficial for you. So if that means get a new job, right? Like, go to a new gym, like, if maybe you go to church with this person, maybe you need to, for a little bit, like, join a new church. Like, there's certain things where I do think you need to step away from certain places to get yourself into a new environment, to get yourself around new people, or just not be reminded of them. That's the thing. You can't be constantly reminded of somebody's presence and effectively heal and effectively grow. It's really hard to do that. 15. Find ways to serve or volunteer or just in some way, shape, or form be a blessing. I really jumped into serving at my church, which helped keep me busy and was a good way to just, serve. But it is so true. Whenever you focus on other people, you are then not able to focus on yourself. And it's one of those ways that, like, when you focus on others, you really do get this joy, and that's why they say, like, giving is better than receiving. So even if it's something that you only do like once a week or once a month or twice a month, it doesn't need to be this like big grand thing, but just something where you feel like you're helping others, you're focusing on others. Maybe it's you go and like you visit your grandparents more, right? Or you volunteer once a month at the pet shelter place, or I don't know, just like anything, but just anything to get you serving and to get you less focused on yourself and what's going on. Number 16. Okay, so this, I really didn't implement this until very recently. But and I wish I would have done this way sooner. And nonetheless though, find a hobby slash a creative outlet. So I was busy when with like working and being involved at church, and I love to read and be outside, and like I was busy, but I really didn't have a hobby. Now I have a few. So I've just started like making jewelry, and I've just kind of have gotten into more creative type stuff. And it's so good because even if you only do it just to like do it, like no with no purpose, to like sell it or no purpose to give it away, just something for yourself. There, it really is a beautiful thing to create something and to just pour your energy into that. And you enter into this like really beautiful, just kind of like flow creative space. And it's awesome. So I definitely recommend finding some sort of thing like that, even if it's you go to Hobby Lobby and you get like a coloring book and some colored pencils, and you go to the beach and you color in like an already outlined drawing, or you literally get like one of those like learn to crochet kits, or you paint like little succulent pots. Like, I don't know. Like, go on Pinterest, find ideas. It could be the most random thing. Like, no one has to know about it. You don't have to tell anybody. You could pretend like you're getting this little arts and crafts kit for like your niece or your cousin or whoever, and really it's for yourself. It doesn't matter. It's just something, again, to like where you're not focusing on your sadness, you're not focusing on your situation, you're creating. And whenever you're in that zone, like, just so many like thoughts come to mind. It's really cool. So that is something I wish I had done sooner, but whatever. 17, so important. Only watch and listen to uplifting slash inspiring content. So this goes back to some of the earlier points. I do recognize that there's going to be some, maybe initially you'll watch like a sad movie or two. You'll like want to just watch something that like gets you in your feels and helps you to release those heavy emotions, that grief. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I would really only allow yourself to do that for a very short amount of time. And then after that, I would only watch stuff that gives you hope and inspires you. So, I primarily really only watch like stuff on YouTube, and definitely once when I was in the thick of that breakup, I was like only watching like, just testimonies of different things, testimonies of people like meeting their spouse, or testimonies of people healing from breakups, or just, sermons and podcasts and stuff that was just really like hopeful and uplifting, because it's just, you need to fill your mind with stuff like that. You don't need to fill your mind with sadness and with, you know, just things that you just don't need to be dwelling on. It's just so important to dwell and think on positive things. And number 18, this goes back to really like the first point about turning to God, but something that really helped me and that I've just been meditating on throughout this year and I've been reminded on, especially in the low moments, is realize God's character. God would not take something or someone from you that is good. He will not take something from you that is meant for you. If something is taken from you, if a relationship is taken from you, and if you're so devastated about it, know that it's because it's not from Him, it's not for you, and He has something so much better for you in store. And whenever you realize His character, that He's such a good father and He loves to give good gifts, and like, I hopefully, right, no one's earthly parent would like take away something like good from them just because, like, even our own parents, even we as like flawed humans, we're not like that. So why would God, who is just perfect and the epitome of goodness, He wouldn't do that to us? And that can obviously be really challenging to remember in moments of just darkness and sadness and, grief, but that has really sustained me, is just knowing that he wouldn't take something away that is really meant for me. And, some people's stories is like people break up and they get back together, and, then it's good and it's fine and la la la. And that's awesome. But yeah, either way, if something is taken away, there's a reason for it, and you just have to trust Him in that. And yeah, very important to do so. I think that was the gist of the list. I'm sure there's other things that I forgot. I know I just said a lot of things, but if you're going through a breakup right now, I I just pray. I pray for healing over you. I pray for joy over you. I pray for strength over you. I pray for wisdom and discernment over you. And I just pray that something so beautiful happens for you today or tonight or tomorrow, that just reaffirms your trust and your faith and your belief in God. And if you haven't given your life yet to the Lord, I pray that your heart would be open to that. I pray that your heart would be softened to that, and that you would just be open to His salvation, to His grace, to His goodness, because He loves you and He is here for you, and He only has good things for you, and you will get through this. You will get through this. Even if it's tough right now, trust me, you will get through this. So have a beautiful day and be blessed.